Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Ngiyaphila-ke
that's
man. Ngiyakhala ngithi maybe this storm is a little intimidated,
yeah,
but
no, it was a corner, JP.
but I'm glad. Sisihlangene, or all else
Is
is
my
nothing.
is my picture clear?
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
pictures coming through, audio's coming through. I have no complaints on my side. Umbuso naye uthi sebeyakuzwa manje, so I think we're good.
Okay. All right, my brother. All right. What do I say?
Yeah,
Good evening, everyone who's joined us now. And
yeah.
yo, his
Uh,
cat is very station, man. You know.
yeah, the good people of the new man have showed up. So I saw uQueen Masentle ukhona, uHawi ukhona, Umbuso ukhona, the great citizens, Umbuso ukhona, of Chats ukhona. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And the rest of the community. So it's the last one. So it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet, I won't lie. But yeah, we're here now. We're here now. Let's be present in the moment.
Yeah. Well, it does happen to be the last one, namhlanje, of the 4-part series that we coined. You and I, Ndie, and good evening to everybody. Ukhona lana, nasi isandla sivela lapho, sanibonani Thobela, molweni, siyalotsha, basho lamaNdebele. Yeah, so it happens to be the last one that we are doing. How do I feel about it? I'm just happy that I was able to stick it through. Sawubona Swazi,
And
nawe siyakubona.
Lutho Mandlovu, siyakubona Ndlovu. Siyakubona kahle.
Yeah, so how do I feel about it? I'm not sure, my bro, how I feel about it. Because it has been a very good ride that we've been on for the past 4 weeks, and adding the first week esiqale ngayo. The first week esaqala ngayo, which gave birth to all of this. And today we're just planning to wrap up and then see what do we birth out of this situation, or out of these. So maybe I just give the background again one last time for abantu abakhona la. What are your sentiments about
Uh, you're lagging again, angazi noma it's the Wi-Fi or the alternative, but iyenza lento yokudake disconnect in the middle of your piece. So I'm in a similar situation with you when it comes to tonight. I've been thinking about it now, and Uti, the new man. What is the new man? A modern black man in 2020, in light of everything that's happening. What does he look like? How does he sound? What does he do? How does he speak? And I've naturally been referring back to our conversations that we've been having since the beginning of the month. It's insane how much we've done and where we've gone in the space of these 4 weeks. But I think we've done enough for me to have a restored sense of faith and hope in our ability to fix our ills as a community, as a gender, as a race. But tonight, I think I'm more on the listening side. I'm here to receive and listen. I think I've spoken a lot for 4 weeks. I've said a lot. Now I'm kind of just I wanted, yeah, just yeah. I'm listening. I'm taking everything in. So I mean, everyone that's joined and been a part of this series from the first one knows what's been happening and what we've been, tackling. And I think it's important, even especially in the conversation, as much as we can have our own views. I think it's important that everyone's view be heard and everyone be respected and provided a space to speak their piece, both men and women. Ngoba we if we're gonna move this thing, we have to do it collectively. That means everyone has to have a say. It's not just Undi's piece that's the gospel truth. It's not just Nqobani that's got the gospel truth. We all have to speak our piece. We all have to listen to each other. We all have to respect each other's opinions, whether we agree or not. We still have to respect each other's views and see how we can move this thing forward. I think that's been the underlying energy and spirit of this whole series, which I really appreciate. Wuti, everyone can speak and everyone is welcome and respected to do so. But I texted Nqobani earlier on and I said I'm going to give him the baton of defining the new man because this week was his thing. So I was running away from that responsibility. I'm a man of my word, so if I say it in private, I'm going to say it in public. Hence, I'm mentioning it now, Wuti. I gave it to you earlier on. I maintain I'm giving it to you now. The definition, in light of everything we've been speaking about, you've been doing for the past month, what does the new man look like in 2020?
Okay, so Ndie, I don't want to leave this until the end of the show. So maybe let's just set the background, for how we ended up to be where we are today. And it will be I don't know if it will be a surprise to many, but I think it will be, a surprise to some. But Ndie and myself started having these conversations on the 2nd of September. Prior to that, even till this day, Ndie and I have not met. I don't know his real name. I don't even know his surname. I don't know his real name. I don't know his surname. The only thing I know is what I see on Instagram and his profile picture on what do you call this, on WhatsApp. So
More
or Ndie, I don't know. They say your line is lagging now.
I think now it's on this side. Okay. I haven't changed anything.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Let's go on. Let's go on.
Yeah, carries on. We'll make a plan.
Yeah. So me and you have not met before, but the chemistry, that has come out of this has just been phenomenal. I think there are many people that I'm a very sociable person, while at the same time kind of reserved. So I really am very selective. If people remember the third talk or the second one of the 4-part series about relationships, we spoke about intentionality and being present. Ndie and myself, I think there was just a clear intention about us wanting to do this, and it went on to prove that we need not to know each other physically, and we use technology to the best of its availability, to foster this relationship, and for us to find ourselves where we are right now. We've done it, I would like to believe, successfully, and I'm quite happy with the product that we have developed, And I say a product simply because all of this has been around a new man. So the product is about the new man. So I think before we go too far, my brother, I think I'd just like to maybe extend my gratitude. I mean, I keep extending it at the end of every show, but I'll do it once again and say that I really want to extend my gratitude to you for at least for this happening, and sihlanganiswe a common friend between us, Ayanda put us together, and she decided that these two guys can kick this off, so we just kicked it off. So getting to the end of it and reading what Tumasintle is saying, that she doesn't know what she'll do with her Wednesday nights. I think she must do what she's always done. If it wasn't interesting, she must find something interesting to do with her Wednesday nights. Um, but um, but it is what it is. We'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. We'll communicate. So the baton is in my hands. You'll get your say. You'll get to say your say whenever you want to do your say. I just wanted to take that out of my chest first. So the idea was birthed after the first conversation about who broke the black boy, which we coined after what broke the black boy, because we said it can't be a mood, it could be a concoction or a number of things that do that. And then the New Man series was then born thereafter to say, for a black boy to be broken, it means that there's a number of things that affected him. That's what we're trying to unpack. And Sagusho from the beginning that it can't be in its entirety. So we just chose a few themes, and if there's a need to continue, the movement, the people want us to continue. We'll continue if needs be. But let's define the new man with the journey that we have traveled so far. And the journey moved from who or what broke the black boy, masculinity and emasculation, which is a very topical and interesting one, relationships, men in society last week, and today we find ourselves here trying to define and consolidate everything that we have spoken. So the definition of the new man, and Ndie said, let's try and make it more interactive along with you guys as who are watching this live, and also those, I suppose, who will follow us and watch the videos on YouTube. You can also post your comments there because we have these on YouTube. It's a tough one. I think me and you, and I guess as a collective with the ladies and the gentlemen who have been a part of this movement thus far, we have come to realize that the man in the narrow definition that we know and understand has not been the ideal man for where we are right now as a society. The man, there's a lot of things that man does which in himself, and speaking for me as well, I've realized in the course of this conversation, which as in, there's certain things and beliefs that I have which I should really disown, which was a very moving realization. Moving in a sense that it's painful, moving in a sense that it means that I must give up some of my privileges, as some of our contributors over the weeks have engaged us on. So then what does this new man look like? As we consolidate and bring an end to this, I think I would say, and where I was very passionate about the conversation had to do with relationships around opening up and vulnerability. So we'll just go across the various topics and discussions, here's a suggestion here. We move this to the new woman so the woman can take over and will follow through, because clearly the women as well also need to change. But we'll discuss that at the end of this conversation.
I like it. Yeah.
So the new man, I think the first and important point, at least for me, and where I was very vocal around relationships, was around the man's ability to be vulnerable and accept his emotions. A new man must be a vulnerable person and open to his emotions. I think once we get a man to be this new man, to open up and say, you know what, this is who I am, this is where I am, without fear of judgment or holding back, without fear of bazothina abantu, I think that would be a good step to begin with from my side. I'll unpack other things, but I'm throwing it back to you. I mean, let's maybe talk to that one around the emotional side of the man.
That is the focal point. That is arguably the center stage for everything else: emotional intelligence, emotional awareness, and that vulnerability. In a utopian, the new man is more sensitive. He's more open. He's more conscious of life around him, not just his own perspective, not just his own viewpoint, not just his own experiences. One thing that these conversations have awakened, taught, and reminded me is Uguti, there's still hope. they're still brothers that get it, and though no one is perfect, there are still men that are trying to get it right. There are still women who still understand and value and appreciate the fundamentals of first a good human being and then a good man, you know, the basics that make an individual. So I think personally as Ndie, I live according to a certain code that I believe is the core and my North Star in everything that I do as a person and as a man. There are certain things that I may want to do, but if they contradict or intervene with my code, I don't partake, regardless of how I may feel about them. They may be fun, they may be exciting, they may be popular, but if the code that I live my life by does not allow for that or doesn't align with Lezizinto, I can't touch it. It's just it's what it is. And I think that idea of subscribing to something bigger than self is an anchor in what I believe should be the new man. You know, Indode Laulai is a danger to everyone. Whether it's God, whether it's family, whether it's history, whether it's tradition, whether it's culture, whatever it is that you connect with, but something has to anchor you. You have to honor and subscribe to something bigger than yourself. You know, something has to navigate your movements as a man, and that can be whatever. I'm not going to say everyone should be religious. I'm not going to say everyone should be cultural. I'm not going to say everyone should be anything. But whatever it is that you subscribe to as an individual, I just fundamentally believe, Uguti, you have to be honoring and serving something that's greater than yourself, something that keeps you in check when your emotions are going left, when your experiences are less than favorable. And on top of just guiding your actions, it also informs how you treat other people. I was reading the golden rule, this beautiful picture I found. Basically, the golden rule across all religions is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So whether that's your code or not, but just something that informs how you move. Because my concern with men as of late, boys rather, has been that Uguti, men and boys have been moving around with a world of freedom and no consequences and minimal to no accountability, answering to nothing and no one. And so we could come and go as we please. We could do whatever we liked, and we could abuse and we could take advantage and disrespect and dishonor anyway and anyhow. And that has been a cancer to our society. So one of the cause of the new man for me is a code to live by. Find it however you find it, whatever it is for you, but a code is necessary. A code to govern your life that is constant, that is universal, and that never wavers. And I think that's a start. You know, we can argue about how we start with that, but I think that's one point of departure.
Speaking about a code and something that governs you or that anchors you, indeed, it speaks then to a man who has a set of morals or a set of values that he will live by. You know, values
Yes,
which I guess, even whether they are within a particular frame of religion or however the man identifies them, the man it must be known, and this is how they operate. I mean, as life goes on, I'm not naive to the fact that we evolve and we change with certain stages of our lives, but at least there must be consistency in how you do things, right? And I'm just attending to say how you address certain things, you know. Not right, but that is out of character. But try asas namhlanje ulenza ngoba ulenhlobo namhlanje wenza nje ikusasa wenza kanje. Yabona, so I'm in full agreement with you about that one, about having at least a set of values which are not wavering. I mean, obviously, I did post something a few days ago, 2 days ago, if I'm correct, where I said we are all susceptible to influence, you know. I said, who are you, you know, and what defines you? And what that post was saying, it was saying, I took it from an Instagram account called We Are Free Thinkers. You know, it's always talking about thinking and thinking and thinking. It was saying, are your thoughts really your thoughts? Are your actions your actions? Or are you just mimicking people, you know, or you're a mimic of other people, you know, because when other people perform other things, and if you do not know what you stand for, you'll end up doing things that are not true because you are now a mimic of other people. So now with the points that you're driving, I'm in full agreement with it. You know, I mean, absolute full agreement with it, to say, at least let this new man that we're talking about, and this is not rocket science, at least have a code, you know, a code, not a guy code, because guy codes we change. So have your own certain way of doing things, you know, and then just at least move from that point, you know. So ngivumelana nawe on that one. But I've said I don't even know your surname. So yeah,
In
so
due time.
in due time it will happen. So yeah, I think without taking away from the point that I raised around also being open and emotional, and also accepting the other side that we men have been made to suppress because of how men have been made to portray or project themselves. I'm still quite adamant around that one, to say, as a machita, let us be encouraged to do that. And as abosisi, and those who consume this content afterwards, let no man who wants to expose himself, be it about their relationship, be it about anything, be looked down upon and looked at as less of a man because they have done what most men don't do, and that is to open up, because that is what causes men to just shut down thereafter. But when I open up, then I'm ridiculed, you know. So I'm quite ardent about that one, to say that, look, let it not be something that is shut down. Let men be encouraged, and let men encourage themselves to be able to do that. Those 2 points are good starting points for me, as we define and we create this definition of this new man. You know, your set of values, as well as I guess your being allowed to openly express yourselves. You know, and we welcome comments and contributions about what the people are thinking about what else could form parts of this new man, as we have now put it down. In fact, let me just write this, because I think it should form part of the synopsis of the show when we put it up on Instagram, on this other platform, on YouTube. Yes. So maybe going to the next one, Ndie. We spoke about in masculinity and emasculation. I would consider it quite important in way to. Hey, I wish I was there. Bring
it over the weekend. I'll bring the body over the weekend.
Okay, so in talking to masculinity and emasculation, a very big topic and a very relevant one. That once we ran out of time completely, but nuggets or takeaways for me from that particular one, which I would like to bring into this broader definition that we are now trying to put out, is for Amachita to assess themselves. And what do I mean assess themselves? I'll be very controversial, and this can also be done by the ladies, right? It's a tool that I learned from a group of people that I fellowship with on Wednesdays. Since I started the series, I haven't been able to join them, but it's a tool that I picked up, Corner, and it's a very useful tool. It says to know who you are. It says, who are you? Who are you? Because emasculation starts from there. When you don't know who you are, anything can emasculate you, right? So it says, this tool, and if anybody's got a pen there or basensi phone or whatever, they can write this. It says, to get to know who you are, answer this question first. What do I have? Right? So what do I have? In other words, you list all your material possessions. What do I have? What do I have? Firstly. Second one, what do I do? So when people see you, what positions do you occupy? The first one was possessions. The second one has got to do with positions and wherever you expand or you use yourself. What do I do? Secondly. The third one now then says, who am I? The third one says, when you define yourself, do not repeat anything you have put in 1 and in 2. So you don't define yourself by what you do. You don't define yourself by what you have. Now you define yourself with, who am I? Because when someone asks me, who am I? I'm very quick to say, I'll define myself by my profession. I'm an accountant.
Okay.
That's not who I am. That's my profession. Who am I? That's what I do. But the question says, who am I? So on the one of emasculation, also to the ladies as well, when they define themselves, this is a very useful tool, you know, but in the context of today's conversation, you strip what you have. You don't define yourself by your mansion or by your cars, which you may have purchased as an extension of who you are. And when they are not recognized, you feel emasculated. And what do I do? When someone doesn't recognize that you are an accountant, doesn't recognize that you're an advocate, does not recognize that you are whatever profession you are in, you feel emasculated.
Emasculation, yep.
Right? And I know emasculation, it's broader than that. You know, we did speak about it when, I think Umbuzo also spoke about it on the day when he spoke about emasculation even at a young age. You know, to say, what do we say over and above the things we spoke about? I'm not taking that away from the conversation of 3 weeks ago. But all I'm saying is that from at least this one big nugget or this big takeaway is to say, once you know who you are, it's not easy for people to emasculate you. It's not easy to be emasculated. So you strip off what you have, you strip off what you do, and then you define yourself with, who am I? And once you are very clear about who you are, I would like to believe that there's nothing that is going to move you, because you will no longer look at life from what you have and from what you do. That's going to be immaterial. You'll then be fully liberated. So if somebody comes to you and says, and does not comment about your car, you will not feel less of a man, because you bought that M4, BMW M4, CSL, because you want people to see, and you park right in front of the restaurant. When no one makes a comment, then you start feeling, yo, abang boni laband. So when you are able to clearly define that from this path that I've traveled and from the lessons that Utabisa gave us on the day that she gave us these lessons, it's always stayed in my mind. It never left my mind. You know, I shared it a week ago with somebody else, and we had a very interesting conversation about it. To say this is what came out. This, you know, because we're talking about who are we. So I link it to the masculinity and emasculation. Once you can clearly define who you are, I think without the material and everything, I think the chances of you feeling emasculated are going to be very minimal to zero, because at most times it links to those things.
I'm conflicted because I feel like you just ended the whole line with that. No, like, that might be the single most relevant, important thing I've heard all week. The separation between what you have and what you do and who you are. I don't think I can stress enough ukuthi kubaluleke kangakanani ukuthi distinguish the difference between the two, because I think men they ran with that misinterpretation of who they are by inflating it with what they do and what they have, and as a result we played it, and then women became a party to the game, and they started looking at men as, what does he have? What does he do? And that defines him. So if he doesn't have the high paying job, if he doesn't have the assets, then he's not much of a man, or he's not my type, or he's not a good man, or he's incapable of providing, or he's insecure, unstable, whatever the issues may be. So I think that definition or that distinction, I'm gonna exercise that. I'd love to thank you for that. I'm gonna play that exercise of regularly reminding myself to separate the two, because I think when you confuse it, when you confuse who you are and with what you do and what you have, you become complacent in finding yourself. You become complacent in actually learning and growing in knowing self. Ngoba, if I bought the car, then that's who I am. Next week I'm buying the clothes, that's who I am. Next week I'm going on vacation, that's who I am. So I never really focus or spend time in getting to know me. I just keep on purchasing these elements or these badges that will represent me in the world, if I may. So I absolutely love that exercise. I think that idea, that notion of identity, again, just knowing who you are outside of all of these things is fundamental. Ngoba I've been in a room with individuals who have had less than me materialistically. I've also been in rooms with individuals who have more than me materialistically, and I as in the latter months and years, I'm now in a position where it's not possible to be in a room with any male or individual and make me feel less than Ndie than I am, regardless of what car is parked outside, what the bank account says, what the company you keep, what the clothes. It's not possible for one to make Ndie quiver in his speech. You're not gonna alter the tone of my voice because you have A, B, and C and da 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 da. And I'm not at the risk of sounding pompous or anything. That's not the energy. I'm only saying that to say that there was a journey that I had to go on to kind of understand. It was, okay, wait, even with the money, you can still feel like you're not man enough. Even with the women, you can still feel like you're not enough. Even with the clothes, even with the assets, you can still feel like you're lacking. So it had to get to a point where one realizes, okay, wait, if I can feel less than with all of these things, then what good are these things? So let's strip them away. Let's put them away. Let's really get to fix this thing. What happens when these things are gone? And then you begin that journey of self-actualization and knowing who you are and figuring, oh wait, no, I like the way I think. I like the way I speak. I like the way I treat people. I like the way I view life. I like the way I conduct myself. I like the way that I carry myself. Wait, no, respect is a thing to me. Integrity is a thing to me. Loyalty, honor, that's a thing. Family, that's a thing. And so you go on, and then you start actually liking yourself and admiring the way that you move in these different spaces. And once you get to that point, it's an also glorious place. But now you understand, wait, I'm actually, I am who I want to be. I am who I look up to. If my son said, I want to be like you, I would be proud. You understand what I'm saying? I like where I'm going. I'm not perfect by no stretch. I like the direction that I'm headed in, and I like the man that I'm becoming. So once you tap into that space of knowledge of self, bring the cars, bring everything, bring it all, and the energies, it doesn't change. You still deal with the same man. You might even make people feel uncomfortable, those who might materialistically have more. Yeah, because now Muntu would come with the energy of, I should be revered because no. But when you bring your masculine true self energy into the room, things change. When you walk in the room with that higher self and higher truth, the vibration changes. Before you speak, your energy, it sets the tone for what's about to happen. And I think as men, going into that space is key. And that's not something that you can demand or buy or force from people or purchase. this is something that you have to know self. You have to connect with self, and it's not fun. It's not a pretty thing, but it's I cannot even tell you how worth it is
So,
when you wake up and you're actually proud to be yourself. You're proud to be who you are.
mm. And your worth is not linked to all the things that you have. Usistabisa, the one who is responsible for this exercise that she shared with us at eLife Group. That's what we were called there, now we Salt and Light Tribe. She just got into the room. I'm not sure if she's still here. So if you're still here, Sister Bisa, I'm just discussing or sharing the exercise that you shared with us about
Thank you for that. Thank you
identity
for
and
that.
saying, who are you? You know, where you told us to strip what we do and what we have to find out who we truly are. So that is getting a lot of interest from the people. So thank you so much, Sister Bisa. That has really worked for me, and it has helped me to identify myself even more. So I throw that exercise out there. I guess that's the third thing that we can speak about the new man, and say in his quest of fighting off this thing of emasculation and masculinity, it need not be linked to those things, not linked to material, not linked to material possessions, not linked to positions. And then let's see who you are, you know. And I love how you've wrapped up your contribution for that point. That's perfectly it. I mean, I walk in a room, I'm privileged to sometimes walk in rooms and be able to break bread and share conversations with people of higher stature according to people's valuation. But I don't feel intimidated, you know, because I see a man who is like me. I see a man who, even if he himself thinks that because of the office he occupies, he's more superior, I don't make them feel that way, because I don't get
Yeah.
intimidated by their office, you know. So,
Yes,
so
sir.
I hope, I wish that my brothers, and I guess my sisters by extension who are here, can get to that higher self and be able to move their worth off what they do. And I've seen the most successful people that I've had an opportunity to deal with, who are true to themselves. All those things don't matter to them. What matters to them is the interpersonal relationships, are things that are broader than these things that you strip off in part 1 and part 2 of this exercise. And the way that I've seen it, and I've seen those who carry these things as a definition of who they are, how they behave, you know. So this is a very interesting one, I mean, talking to that point of masculinity and emasculation. So I really
Yes.
hope, I really hope that Abantu would get to that point. I mean, we're a materialistic society by virtue of media and everything we consume and influences and everything, but higher self, you know, getting to that level of self-actualization that Uswazi speaks about, has got to go past this process, not just for the men, but also for you as well, my lovely queens who are here today. So we then also spoke about relationships. I mean, earlier on, I know I spoke about intentionality and purpose, but I also just want to go back on the relationships one, Nandi, and touch on the relationships that men have, not just with their friends, but I want to bring it closer and say to their families, you know. And we did say indeed that we were not going to speak about our families as in our wives and whatever, because at this point, neither you and I are there, you know, but we belong to a body of a family, you know. So, and we spoke about how the men have lost. In fact, this was in last week's one about men in society, but I'm gonna talk to the men in the family. The role yabo malume, the role yabo babomncane, and yonke lento le. I think the time must come now where, as that kind of man, ubaba omncane, ubaba omdala, umalume, ubani, you say to yourself, you know what, it really is not about ukuthi ngubaba omncane or omdala or in, but I'm not going to use that position or that office to prejudice abashana bam, to prejudice my children, to prejudice whomever, where you start seeing yourself, in as much as the office that you occupy will be respected by virtue of, I guess, inkuliso yethu nemfundiso yethu, but it does not make you see yourself as a superior to the rest of the family, because that's where the big problem starts. I mean, personally, I'm a human being, my bro, and I belong to a family, and these are dynamics that present themselves in families. And speaking my conversations, we've related quite extensively to our experiences with our families. I speak from a point of experience about this to say, I've realized it and I've seen it in my families where I would venture to say that the new man sees not himself in a position of power simply because he's a man in the family, but he's able to say, how then do I fulfill that role and that expectation from Abashana, from Ingani Zami, from whomever else is in my family, and I'm able to pull that off. And I guess even when we are fathers, when that time arrives, you say to yourself, how do I become that father who my child can look up to or whomever can look up to, and not abuse that privilege that comes. And I guess it's that privilege that was spoken about in the first or second live that we did, to say that we are stripping off the male privilege that we had, and without even thinking about that, but saying, actually, I am a part of this nucleus, I'm a part of this family, besides being a man. And let me not want to be respected for being a man, but let me be respected for the role that I play. So from that role of family, I'm just hoping that the new man who will now come or emerge as we continue with this, or as we end this today, I don't know if it will continue, but as we end this, will be one who will say that, look, I know my role, and I'm going to fulfill it as best as possible without abusing it in the family setup. You know, at least because they say, if you want to kill a society, and Abazi Slungu Ganyono will correct me, you know, the family is the cornerstone of society. I remember someone that I heard at church, Pastor Dr. Mapola said the family is the cornerstone of society. So if we can fix that cornerstone, because the society, or which we spoke about last week, is a collection of all these families. So if we can try and perfect it or improve there, then clearly the society at large will then be improved. You know, so I just want to speak to those men in the families and say, let's start there and get the man corrected there, and then by extension, it will then spread out properly.
It begins with how we treat our boys from a young age. It begins with how we accept and embrace and treat them within the family context. As omalume, as obawumncane, as uncles, as whatever roles we play in our families, it begins by that bridge, by us bridging that gap between the old and the younger. This past weekend, we spoke earlier on the phone. I'd mentioned that I was home for a celebration, and it was a beautiful thing for many reasons. But one of my favorite things was seeing Obabomncane and Omkhulu, the grandparents, treating the young boys as boys, as humans, you know, which was very, and I don't know what energy came over everyone this past weekend, but it came over everyone, because even in the preparations and the days leading to the celebration, when things were happening around the house, you would see Umalume asking a young boy for his opinion. I was thinking, we set up the tent over there. What do you think? And, you know, the little boys, okay, let's try it over there because of A, B, and C, and D. And you know what I mean? They had a voice in things that were happening, and it was beautiful. Ngoba, not only did they feel included and seen and acknowledged, but it also instilled something in them to conduct themselves and hold themselves to a higher standard. They felt that they had a certain level of responsibility. Yes, and so they couldn't just be up to no good. They acted as people that have responsibilities. So now the young boys were doing things that they were supposed to be doing. No one was out doing shenanigans that you didn't know about. Like, everyone was participating because everyone felt like they were a valuable member of this nucleus of this family. So what you're saying, it resonates, because I saw it firsthand, Wuti. When we change the way we treat our youngins, our little brothers, our sons, our nephews, the way we treat them informs the way that they see themselves. If we treat them with the respect, they begin respecting themselves. They begin seeing themselves as people worth having an opinion, as people worth conducting themselves in a certain way. So they begin holding themselves to a different standard. Whereas if we continue to dismiss them and tell them that they're kids and they don't know anything and just rebel against them and so on and so forth, why wouldn't they rebel? Why wouldn't they turn their backs? Why wouldn't they get up to no good? Because barely no one's paying attention and no one cares. As far as they're concerned, no one is interested in what they have to say or they have to do. So they might as well just do anything. So I think the new man understands that element of respect, whether one is younger or one is older. Respect people and listen to the kids. Like if they have something to say, listen to them. We're not dismissive about when you're younger than me, so you don't know anything. I'm older than you. My word is God. No, listen. You'd actually be surprised what happens when you give a young individual a space to actually speak their opinion. And you don't have to have the final say. You don't even have to counter what they say. Just listen and acknowledge. Okay, I heard you. That's a good point. That's valid. I see why you would say that. And that's it. It's amazing how far that goes. So I think a piece of the new man also encompasses that, acknowledging Uguti, people are valid, whether younger than you or older than you. People deserve intonip, especially the young black boys, because it begins there, and you grow up with those tendencies and that mindset and those habits. So I love what you're saying about the family aspect and the relationships insofar as our nucleus, our family unit or tribe is concerned. I think that's an immeasurable amount of teaching and good that we can do. Just give young boys a space to speak their truth and make them feel safe to speak their truth. Even if you don't agree or like what they're saying, you don't have to be rude and dismissive.
Correct.
Okay, no, I don't agree, but it's fine. That's your opinion. It's valid nevertheless. So I think the new man has his ego and his pride to the side and listens to the young ones and leads by example. Essentially, long story short, I should have said that in the beginning. Just leads by example. Show them what they should be like. Show them what to aspire to, how to treat people. So each one teach one. Lead by example.
There's an element which I don't know how far we could have touched on it in this conversation, or at least masculinity and emasculation, which has got to do with ego and pride of men, because that is I guess one of the biggest downfalls of a machit. Your pride and your ego as a guy, what builds it and what breaks it, I guess maybe by extension, when we spoke about stripping off the material stuff, then I guess it talks to your ego, and if your ego is fragile outside of those things, then you have a bigger problem, or if your pride does not allow you to do what you say, what you have just said in the discussion about allowing the young ones to have a voice. If your pride does not allow you to allow umuntu wesifazane to have a voice, if your pride does not allow you to be told when you are wrong, then we have an even bigger problem, because all of these things that we are just throwing out, unless the ego and the pride is managed or manageable, all of these things will never work, because that in itself forms the basis of, I guess, a man's, I won't say identity, but what the old man, or the man who's not the kind of man we're talking about, holds on to quite strongly, protecting their ego and doing all of these things, to even go as far as to do crazy things just to protect their ego, so if we fail on that one, I think if we can't manage our egos and our pride is bigger than our brain, then as the new man is in trouble. You should be in control of your ego and let your pride not rule you. Let your pride really not rule you, and be able to be in a position to control everything as best as you possibly can. But I'll go to I think we have about 2 minutes before we cut off, and then we come back again, and we'll wrap up in 15 minutes after the break. The man in society, we spoke about this quite extensively last week, and I spoke about now the man in the family when I spoke about relationships, but the man in society, as a man, as a new man, I would say that we as I walk, I am judged mainly by the actions of other men that I don't even know, right? I can be judged by the actions of a man who raped or who killed in the far eastern or western Cape, where I've never even been. But as soon as someone gets into a connection with me, already right? So which means that if the judgment, negatively so, can be based on an action that you are not connected to or you don't even know, equally so, I would like to believe that even the good that you would do can also work at changing the perception, right? Because that man in society that we spoke about, who we said is the one who distorts the image of all men because of his bad actions, the new man then, without trying to play God, without trying to play Savior, can, will, and shall be able to do what? To alter the perception by doing the very opposite of the things that we see being done out there, right? It's not to say I'm going out there to save the world. No. I was watching a movie now earlier on. This guy was serving coffee. So this girl says to him, hey, you're just serving coffee here. You're not changing the world. So let's go out and do more important things, you know. So I'm not saying you go out and try and go and do big things. Even with the little things that you do, you can alter huge perceptions, you know. So the new man being intentional, being focused, and being very clear about himself and the things that you spoke about from the beginning that define him and his values. This new man can, albeit in the midst of all these wrong things and hard things that happen, this new man can be a catalyst for change going forward just by applying the right things that whatever that is right according to you. So that's how I believe we can, as the new man, try and change the perception in society. And you said something quite important last week when you said that the new man must not be quiet in times of isn't wrong. So that also in itself can also work in changing the perception of things, you know. So how do we change the perception of the new man in society? At least those two things. I mean, just doing right and not being quiet, you know, and being seen to walk your talk and talk your walk, you know, as difficult as it might be, because a lot of us fail with that. But at least if the new man can do that, I really do not see us failing in achieving this objective of this new man.
100%. 100%, my brother. I think walking the walk, not just talking, and standing for something. I think fundamentals of any man, of a man, you stand for something, whether consciously or subconsciously. You stand for something, be it good, be it bad. You were aware or you were unaware, but you stood for something. And it would be a disservice to self and a huge shame if you stood for something that you didn't even know you were standing for. By being complacent, you thought you were just minding your own business. But that is the stand that you took. That's a stance that you took. And you will be remembered for being complacent. When people needed you, when you were supposed to stand up, when you were supposed to speak and act, you sat down, you folded your arms. You will be remembered for that. So I think 100%. Even complacency is an action. Silence is an action. So I think the new man understands that.
Sorry, man. No. So let me just say this quickly while we wait for more people to come back. This past weekend in Makaza, Mangila Lundi. So when I go, it was hot. It was hot, and then when I got there, you were the village. I don't know how the weather was.
Saturday was heavy rain.
Yeah, it just changed all of a sudden, you know. And I did not wear warm clothes and get my car, so I've got a fever. It's not corona, it's just a fever. So. Yeah, disclaimer. I have to put that disclaimer. But anyway, yeah, just to go back to it, you were still elaborating on walking the talk, my brother, and you're still responding to what I was saying.
Yeah. So I think in my view, just the new man understands the importance of his actions. They affect more than just self. You know, even if in the face of any injustice, in the face of any violation or disrespect of any individual, whether you know them or not, and this is something that I've been fortunate to have learned at an early stage, and I carry it out in my life, and I try to manifest it within my circle. Injustice is injustice. Abuse
Sure.
is abuse. Disrespect is disrespect. Personally, I try my level best as consistently as I can to allow and permit no forms of disrespect in my presence, whether they are directed to me or to you or to anyone. But I never wanted to, and I still don't, never want to create an environment where someone feels comfortable with disrespecting anyone in my
Mm,
presence.
mm,
I,
mm,
I think that's something that we as men collectively we need to hold ourselves to that standard. Ukuthi there are
mm,
certain things that are not permitted in your presence, and I think again it connects to having a code. It's important for people to know ukuthi when Nqobani is around, we don't call girls bitches. I
mm.
we, we just don't. Yeah, but
No.
he like they can say whatever they'll say about it, but there are certain things that are known ukuthi when you are around, they don't happen. And I think
Mm,
again it goes back to having a code and standing for something so that the community around us learns, our people, our circles learn ukuthi there are certain actions that are not okay. There are certain things that you
mm,
won't do and still feel comfortable with being in this environment. And
mm,
to me, that's how I understand standing for something, being a man about something. What you were saying with your exercise and your practice, integrity. Who
mm,
are you? Aside from what you
mm,
have and what you do, who are you? How do
mm,
people act and feel around you? How do people feel around you? Do people feel safe? Do people feel respected? Do people feel comfortable? Do
mm.
people want to? Are people attracted to your energy or do they deter from it? So, excuse me, I think it's the little daily things that we do, the way we conduct ourselves, the way we treat people, the way we speak, the way we
Mm,
address social imbalances and social ills,
mm.
that speaks volumes. So to me, and we keep saying the new man as if we're creating a PlayStation character, but when I say when every time I'm saying it, I'm actually saying in my mind, no self. This note to self. This is I'm checking the boxes. Am I doing this? Yes. Okay. Cool. Keep at it. If I'm not, then let's look into it. So for me, that idea of standing for something and representing for something and people knowing Uti, there are certain things that are permitted in this man's presence. There are certain things that are not permitted. I think
Mm,
collectively, if we do that, we change society. Like we're saying, we're not walking out, we're changing the world. No, no, no. Just
yeah,
as one individual, set a standard. Set a
sure.
standard, reference, be a point of light. Okay, so that guy does it like this. I'm going to do it like this. And so the ripple effect begins and we teach when we progress.
With this, Wenandi, I mean, the recordings of the previous conversations are available on YouTube, and you can go and find them on Regal Dream Productions. It's a YouTube channel that Ndie owns. Regal, Regal, Regal Dreams Productions. All the conversations are there that we have had, and as well as these other conversations, they are there. But I just want to take it back to where it all began, where all of this began, for us to find ourselves here 5 episodes later, the whole of September, from the 2nd of September till now the 30th. So we've been together
The last
28
day,
days. Yeah, this is the last day of September. So
amazing.
where the last day, and it's a Wednesday. So where we started when we spoke about who broke the black boy or what broke the black boy, I think then uh, in being woke and in being the kind of man that we are defining, and this is not an absolute list, by the way. I guess from environment to environment, it will change. From context to context, it will change. But at least from what we know, we are contributing to this from our perspective, right? So, and even the frame of reference for defining who or what broke the black boy, from my contribution and this contribution was also based from our knowledge and our background. So what I'm saying is, in this new definition that we are coming up with, taking it back to who broke the black boy, I think that in molding this PlayStation character, or this note to self that you said they're doing, this will help in now going back to where we started in terms of the breakage or the mending of the black boy. Because in these things, giving a black boy an ear, giving a black boy time, giving a black boy a value or worth as a young man, I mean, as the uncle, you give him worth and value, that in itself unbreaks him going forward. When he sees how you do right, when he sees how you carry yourself, when he knows there are certain things that he shouldn't be doing, that in itself will unbreak him, because he will consciously be aware that there are certain things that I cannot do, because I saw that Ubaba, Umalume, Ubaba Mncane, Ubaba Mdala was not doing. And I saw how his life then panned out. Therefore, I will then say it is as a result of the things he did or did not do. And because we had said that our breakage, some of our breakage is unintentional, but it is as a result of things that we inherited that we didn't even know. So if they inherit the good deeds as well, it will also reverse the breaking.
100%.
If they can see that you are a person of value, and they know that this is how this person is, this is how this person operates, and with a certain set of principles and values, it will then, by extension, at least from me gathering this together, he will know that if I live by this, then the chances of him being broken because of wrong decisions being taken, because of him not seeing ukuthi kumele ngihlale ngiyibambe kanje le ndlela, it will unbreak him. When he knows ukuthi my worth is not defined by how many cattle does my father have, or what's the best car that is at home, but his worth is defined by who he truly is. And he doesn't get broken by not having iy'nkomo ezifana nezaka amakhelwane, or iy'nkomo ezingaka, or the latest cell phone. He will not be a broken person because his worth is no longer linked to the things that he has. So by extension, it will then at least try and work in balancing him, even if it does not break him, but it will balance him so that at least he's clear. So all of this work goes back to the foundation of things, where we say the breakage of the black boy that we discussed, these things that we're trying to unpack, or at least to the extent that we are doing right now, will then take us back to where we started 5 weeks ago about the breaking of the black boy, which is who and or what broke the black boy. If these things, at least for me, are done, and I've seen for myself, I'm a proponent of some of the things that I've said here, and like I said, some of them have challenged me. Isn't this by my brothers, by my sisters, and by yourself as well, Ndie, where I now have to rethink a lot of the things that I've been doing. So the intentionality around the process of unlearning and relearning in all of this, and then me living out my life as influential as I am in that little circle that I'm in, I'll then be doing what? Contributing to this new man in society as well that I spoke about. And by extension, it will then go back and unbreak that boy. So all of these things, what am I doing now? I'm knitting these things together to say that, how do we take it back? How do I take it back? If we do all of these things, with the foundation being the breakage, we fix and mend all of this, I'm a firm believer that we will have done great justice in fixing this boy who started off this to say he's broken. So how do we define the new man? We do all of these things, and we try and advocate, and we try and, through our little actions, through our little deeds, we will then achieve something and work at unbreaking all of these things. That's just how I'm seeing all of this knitting itself together and coming up to a very neat conclusion from my side.
100%. It always goes back to the kids. The kids are always watching. The kids, they watch and they see everything. Everything we say, everything we don't say, everything we do, everything we don't do, whether we're present, whether we're absent, the kids see it. So as we started Who Broke the Black Boys, when we go back to how do we fix the black boys, we fix them by being present. We fix them by speaking to them. We fix them by teaching them. We fix them by showing them, Oguti, I can say all of these things, but more importantly, I'm living this way. Now
Mm.
this is how we do it. You can, again, offering options and choice. You can do that, and that'll. We know how that movie ends. You can be that
Yeah.
toxic, primitive individual by all means, but we've seen that movie. You can do that, or you can be this kind of man. So offering them that insight, that perspective of you, a man is not just this. A man is not just that. You can be
Mm.
a healthy individual. You can be appreciated and loved, and people can feel comfortable around you, and people
Yeah.
can feel elevated and inspired to be better and do better around you. And this is how you do it. So I think
Mm. Mm.
you're tying it immaculately to the beginning. We bring this whole thing full circle. We have to teach the black boys. We have to teach the little black boys because they're growing up to be just like us.
Yeah.
Whatever we are, they are becoming that. Njengamanje, we're raping and killing our women. They're becoming that. Little
Correct.
boys are raping and stabbing girls in high school. High school. This is us, and it's scary to look at because we don't want to look at ourselves. But they are us. We taught them these things. We
Hey.
told them. We created a space for them to do this in. So
Hey.
we can talk all the nonsense we want to talk, but we have to go back to the truth and look ourselves in the mirror and say, my God, we started this issue, so let's fix it. Let's talk to these boys. Let's address these boys. Let's be there because they're literally repeating what we have done. So
Correct.
it, it's not. I don't even think there's an existing motivational talk to give to anyone. When you see what these kids are doing, I you can't not see the urgency of this. You can't not see
Sure.
the importance of land. You can't pretend with everything is okay. So in a space and in a world where abafana bancane are intimidating Ndie Nqobani,
Mm.
how can you be complacent? You know,
Mm.
the new man gets that, understands this is a monster of our own doing. So we have
About
to
doing.
fix it. There's no these kids these days are da da da. No, these kids these days were either raised by us or
Mm.
they had to raise themselves. You know,
Yeah.
so one way or another we have to take accountability and we have to show up for them because it's our daughters that are getting killed. It's our daughters that are getting abused. It's our nieces that are having to deal with these broken individuals that we created. So accountability, responsibility, presence, walking the walk, showing up completely, emotional intelligence. I mean, all of these things that we've spoken about, I think these are attributes of the new man. This is, again, I've said that this is not everything, but it's a start. You know, these
Mm.
conversations won't fix everything, but it's a start. And I'll take that any day of the week. We're starting to fix it. Okay, cool. We're starting to acknowledge Uti. We kind of screwed up. Okay, I'll take that. You know, but as he who has begun is half done. So we've started.
Sure.
Let's not stop. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going, as you like to say, my king. I call him my brother. Let's keep going. I think we've come full circle. 5 weeks. We've tried as best as we can. And a disclaimer: we put it on the first week. We are not experts. We're just talking from our own experience and from our own research, and just off the cuff and real life situations. Where to from here, Ndie? Maybe that's the question that we maybe could entertain right now, so that we can see what do we do, whether it happens or not. What there was a question that was posed, I think, a week or two ago, Wati, beyond beyond the beyond Instagram. How can we reach young people? What can we do? Can we get suggestions, I guess, from abantu who know or who think they can? What doors could we knock on? What could we do? Can we get perspective from you guys and at least guidance? Because the appetite, I guess, is huge out there. And even if the appetite is not huge, because people don't know that there is something like this that exists, the need for something like this is there. The appetite may not be there, but the need is there. So even if we can't satisfy the appetite that is unknown, until they know that it's there, they will not hunger for it. So maybe you guys can advise us. I mean, Ndie and I have just thrown some ideas around about it to expand it beyond Instagram, but you guys can help us. I mean, here we serve an elite few who can afford data, we have Wi-Fi and all of that, but the need for these conversations needs to be broader. So Ndie and myself are committed to taking this even further. So we'd really love more of your input and assistance on this and how you guys think we could do this. So the way to from here, even for the Instagram live, we'll decide, we'll communicate. I don't know if let's think about this, let's think about this. And if we do continue with this on Instagram, well, this is just the start and we go forward, or what do we do? But clearly the need for such is great, my brother. And we can explain this and do even more about this. And I'm really humbled at the interest that has been shown by people. I'm really humbled by the interactions, the new knowledge that I have gained myself through this. I'm really humbled by just the openness of people, to engage us, and even my vulnerability, my vulnerability to open up myself, because some of these things were my own personal lived experiences, and which I've thrown out there today and in the past, So I'm encouraged that this was a safe space. Let's do this. Here's a suggestion. Let's partnerships with institutions like Sonke Gender Justice. Okay, I'll write that down here. We'll see what we do. And any other suggestions, are really are welcome. You guys can tell us, and then we'll explore this, because we have the passion, we have the voices. I think we have the right minds. We have the right mind screwed on our heads. We'd like to really do this and help the black boy. Help the black boy. Really, really groom and help the black boy to be a better man. To be a better man. So, yeah, that's it from me, indeed. Partnership with the Department of Education. You can access all the kids. Start adopting boy children. There's a lot of ideas. I'm going to write them down here while you do your closing comments.
Yeah, I am north of Nakhona humble, and I think this, and I'm sure everyone else knows. There was never a plan for Lento. I only had an idea for one conversation, which we had. Everything else beyond that was never in my plans. I never foresaw it. So the fact that we're even here is mind-boggling to me. And I've expressed this to you. I'm open to doing the work. Let's do the work, however form that takes. You call me, I show up. That's all. That's pretty much my whole energy and approach to land. I have no words for the time that you guys have given to show up for the conversation. And it's not a minor thing personally. The fact that we come in every week and we do this for as long as we do it, that is the world to me. Queens Masinhle, Terence, Mboso, I'm going to go off on a ramp and name everyone, Ohawi, and so on and so forth, Fifi. That's everything. For me, the fact that we still have people that are willing to come forward and come to the table and address the issue and make an attempt at fixing us, that's all I need to wake up in the morning. That's all the hope I need. That's all the inspiration I need. That's good enough for me. So whatever that calls me to do, I have to show up. There's no choice of I'll decide. No, I have no choice. I'm there. So whatever happens with this beyond this point, I'm open to it. It's bigger than I don't own it. Nobody doesn't own it. This is something as a society, as a generation, as a gender, as a race that we have to address. So we're showing up for us. That's basically that's all I have. We have to show up for us. The brilliant concept implemented perfectly. Well done, gents. I really enjoyed every week. And every bit of the series we heard, we spoke, we learned. Thank you, Queen. Again, there are not enough thank yous. There are not enough syllables. Boys, Nqobani, to you, my brother, King, I don't know. I'm short of words. I'm seldom speechless, but you are a genuine one. You're a true king. You're a real brother, authentic spirit. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate your presence in everything that we've done so far. Now we can meet and have drinks and get to know each other. We've done the first leg of the work. So thank you, thank you, King, for allowing yourself to be available and present for this thing, for allowing this thing to happen. I think that fueled and inspired me more than I could have anticipated. So, appreciation and respect and love to you. Off chats, much love to you, King. Thank you again. I forgot to mention your name again. A regular community member in the series. But it's not the end. Whether we carry on with IG live chats or not, this is not the end. This work will carry on, whether online or offline. But my commitment is the work will carry on. It doesn't end.
It can't stop. It can't
yes,
stop.
Sir. Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much.